Hello. I just moved and there's no Wi-Fi. It's not reset the router, no Wi-Fi. It's there's no router, there's no cable plan, no Wi-Fi. Originally horrified, I've come to enjoy it. It sounds psychotic, but I've actually learned a few good lessons. Here's what I've learned and how it can help you live a better life. Hi, I'm Tristan. I just moved from San Diego to Germany, though only temporarily. When I got here, I realized my grandmother's apartment, the place I'm staying, has no Wi-Fi. I should have realized there wasn't going to be Wi-Fi. I mean, look at this TV. It's from the 1700s or something. What was I expecting? Now, could I set Wi-Fi up? Probably. But the odds of me going out and talking to someone I don't know, in a country I don't know, in a language I don't know, 0. Not happening. I'd rather saw my own arm off with a spoon. So I decided to suck it up. I could live without Wi-Fi. It would be like a personal challenge. I'd learn something. I just did a month-long social media cleanse and I had a phone plan with a little bit of data, so I'd be fine, right? Nope. There were so many struggles this past month. In the first few days alone, I burned through so much data. Gigabytes wasted just doom scrolling on Instagram and other random corners of the internet. I messed up on a phone call with my brother and ended up throwing a $200 charge up on my family's phone plan. Sorry, Dad. The problem is that nearly everything you do uses the internet. You need to do work? Google Docs, Zoom, emails, internet. You're trying to make plans? Restaurant recs, FaceTime, Google Maps, all use the internet. Filling the void inside? Quick, to the internet. I even need Wi-Fi for those pretty Notion templates I use to fake being productive. Not to mention the 3 to 5 hours we all spend on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I switched from thinking this would be easy to thinking this was impossible in the span of a few days after burning like 10 gigabytes. What else would I do with my day? I'm constantly using the internet. The thing that made it worse was that I knew I should have been fine. Like, I had a few gigabytes of data. I hadn't realized I would need it to support me at home, but come on, was I that addicted? At the beginning, I must admit, I was really just wasting time. I wasn't used to budgeting my data. What is this, 2012? I ended up nearly running out, which did motivate me to figure this out. I would get really annoyed every time I would pick up my phone or computer and then remember that I couldn't use data because I didn't have any left. I've been writing weekly emails and it was really annoying to do them without Wi-Fi because I realized just how bad my writing is without autocorrect and a thesaurus. I felt like a beggar on the street, hoping someone would save me with their Wi-Fi or their hotspot. I had to come up with a system to ration out the rest of my data, counting out every megabyte that each app refresh took. I never knew Wi-Fi was such a luxury. But as time went on, I found solutions to these issues and even ended up thriving. I took cutting down on social media quite seriously. If you haven't seen my parts 1 and 2 on how to do that with Instagram, check them out up here. I started finding places to work during the day, like the library and coffee shops, but then my work wouldn't follow me home. I spent a lot of time walking through this park to get to the grocery store and the cafes that I knew had good Wi-Fi. As a side note, walking through the park was actually wonderful. I just wish trees gave off something essential, like Wi-Fi. I got a library card so I had an additional place to work during the day. It's so much better than a home office. The social anxiety of strangers being able to see what you're doing on your computer holds you accountable in a way that a home office could never. If they see me coding or writing, that's clout. But if they see me binging Instagram with YouTube up on my computer, not a good look, my friends. That's not a good look. I also found that I was more productive because I had a limited time window. Because I'd have to leave the coffee shops eventually or the library would close, I found that I was working harder with the time I did have. Unlike in college, I couldn't work late into the night, even if I wanted to. Here's a rundown of my standard day to give you an example. All of my academic-esque productivity was happening out in different places. I couldn't do it here because I didn't have Wi-Fi. Coffee shops and the library were the 2 main places I would go. I'd wake up and make breakfast, planning out the rest of my day in my journal. Then I'd usually first head to a coffee shop. After a morning cafe grind, usually about 3 hours, I'd come home. Lunch, a nap, and a workout, sometimes, would precede my next work session. At around 2, I'm back out on the streets, walking to the library. Ironically, I tended not to do that much work inside the actual library because it was kind of stuffy and I didn't like the vibe. I couldn't take calls inside and they'd make you take these clear plastic bags so that you couldn't take any books out. Not a fan. So I'd tend to work from the cafe and the lounge adjacent to the library, close enough that I could steal its super fast Wi-Fi. Finally, it was dinner. If I was really lazy or alternatively really busy, I would pick up something to go. But normally I would cook for myself, signaling a wind down and an end of work for the rest of the day. Easing into the evening, I would read and meditate, instead of doom scrolling until my eyes were barely open. I had the foresight to download the 50 or so books at the top of my reading list, just to eliminate any excuse I had. Because my computer isn't connected to the internet at home, I tend to get less distracted. I don't get texts, I don't get emails. All I could do was read, and occasionally I would write. It's been almost a month since I started living without Wi-Fi, and I've learned quite a bit. The biggest thing is that it's actually possible. I could do it, and so can you. School acclimatized me to working late in the evenings and not setting boundaries with my personal time. Not having Wi-Fi meant there was already a boundary set. I couldn't take work home, and I couldn't work late even if I really, really wanted to. The library closed at 10. There was nothing I could do about that. And yes, you couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi from outside. I've checked. I just started working during the day and keeping evenings and mornings free for myself. I didn't have a choice. And candidly, it's a lot better that way. I don't know if I could set these boundaries on willpower alone, because for 5 years at school, I didn't set these boundaries, but I'd recommend you try. Now, knowing that it's possible, it makes it a lot easier for me to believe that I'll do it in the future. Limit when you can work, set aside some time for social media, and then keep some sacred time for yourself. Living without Wi-Fi has forced me to keep almost all of my work away from home. Any work I have to do, especially using the hotspot, I finish as efficiently as possible. I'm generally more efficient because I know that I have a limited amount of time to work with. I'm not accomplishing less. I'm just doing the exact same amount, but with less time. There's nothing like an external deadline to force you to do work. I even found that I was more creative because I had the time to explore every single dumb thought that entered my head, like sliding across the kitchen floor. I was essentially forced to time block throughout my day. I was constrained by an old apartment and lackluster tech. I didn't have a choice. I'd recommend setting specific hard limits to when you can use the internet. Try mimicking not having Wi-Fi at home by not allowing yourself to use the internet between the hours of, say, 10 at night and 8 in the morning. That way you have a specific chunk of time that you can use to focus on yourself, whether it's reading, writing, exercising, journaling, meditating, or even just catching up on sleep. There's a million things you could do that don't require the internet that would be good for you. And no, you're actually not doing that much work. Don't make excuses. In conclusion, it wasn't easy, especially at the beginning when I didn't have any methods or systems in place to help me. And occasionally it still does suck. Last Sunday, I had to beg my neighbors for their Wi-Fi so I could verify something with my bank at home. But overall, it's been a net improvement. I found more time to work, more time for myself, and I've increased my productivity. I feel cleaner knowing that I'm not going to do work late into the evenings, except for recording videos like this. If you want to learn more about other ways to improve yourself, subscribe. I have some journaling tips, meditation advice, and book recs all coming soon. Until then, thanks for watching.